Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got a video for you about AAA Gaming and why it's currently on life support. You're going to get to see gameplay and videos from a lot of different games, but it's mostly going to be Battlefield 2042 today, and I don't think there's a better game to exemplify this sentiment about AAA Gaming, because Battlefield was a huge, high-budget, prestigious game for EA. Hype trailer, looked great, and it lost 70% of its player base in 2 weeks, and the community hates it, and it's not doing so great at the moment. But as fun and easy as it is to pick on Battlefield, that actually wasn't the game that inspired today's video. I got the idea last week when I was playing Call of Duty Vanguard, and I noticed that my attack dogs don't even want to play Call of Duty Vanguard. They would rather commit suicide than participate in one more match, which I found amusing, but it really made me think about AAA gaming in general, and it occurred to me that we've had more flops and more misses with AAA gaming than we have had in the indie category lately. As a matter of fact, AAA gaming, instead of being a hallmark of quality more recently, has been a hallmark of corporate failures and greed and just questionable quality assurance. So let's go through some examples here in the beginning of the video, and an easy one from last year to pick on is Cyberpunk. This game was insanely hyped. It had a god tier trailer. The gameplay that we saw looked really good. And then it finally came out, and it just looked terrible on old consoles, not so great in general unless you had a 3090, tons of bugs, inherently flawed in almost every way. Okay, well, what's next? Well, Call of Duty Cold War came out at a pretty similar time, and it launched with 6 multiplayer maps. We had 6 whole maps to play on Call of Duty Cold War, so that was pretty rough. Oh wait, more recently, what's going on with AAA gaming more recently? Well, Rockstar puts out GTA Remastered, which I was really excited about. I love Vice City and San Andreas, even GTA 3. I played all these games as a kid, and I'm like ready to jump in and play, but it just looks terrible. It looks weird. Your car grows bigger when you wobble down the road. They're like refunding orders and trying to send it back. Of course, there's Battlefield 2042, the game that you're seeing right here. It had an amazing trailer where the guy jumps out of the plane and shoots the rocket and it hits the jet. Gameplay looks good. Graphics look good. Yeah, I actually do have fun playing the game, but it's pretty rough on older consoles. It's very buggy. It's very demanding on your PC. And there's a number of quality of life features from Battlefield that are just missing, that don't make any sense. It was bad enough to where EA decided to replace the lead developers with developers from Respawn, not just in development, but now they're kind of leading up the whole franchise. We could jump around in time again and go back to Anthem. Oh god, we're not even going to show Anthem. Just the box art is enough to give me PTSD flashbacks. Let's move on to something else. Let's talk about Far Cry 6, Ubisoft's new prestigious moneymaker. It couldn't have any bugs, right? It's going to be flawless, right? No, it's the same old kind of thing, same old goofy bugs that you have from the last versions. Back for Blood, Turtle Rock Studios' big comeback as a new independent publisher. I don't even know if people are still playing Back for Blood. It also had a pretty rough launch. On top of all of that, Ubisoft had a sexual harassment scandal in 2020 that didn't get a ton of attention, but it did get attention. Activision, guys, has a massive sexual harassment scandal going on right now that is so big the state of California and the federal government's getting involved. And on top of all that, they fired their QA team at Raven. They replaced the QA team at Raven, so there's going to be less quality assurance on Call of Duty games. And these are just a few that I'm thinking of. I'm sure all of you were waiting for your favorite punching bag to be brought up. I could probably make a list of 100 games and do this all day, but as a guy who mostly plays mature kind of shooters, these are the games that are most on my mind and on my radar. So as you can see, AAA gaming has been delivering more flops than not recently. At least that's my opinion. Even the successful AAA games that are financially successful or have reasonable reviews are rarely up to their old standards, and even more rarely up to their old standards at launch. A lot of AAA games don't get good until a couple of months, up until sometimes even a year after launching. You can see that a little bit with Cyberpunk. It's starting to take off now with successive updates and stuff. And recently, I have just started to trust indie games more. The trust that I had in AAA gaming to deliver a quality, crafted, prestigious experience has just been diminished. When I see a trailer for a AAA game, my brain immediately says, you know that's a lie. You know that's impossible. It's like those muffins, those really cheap 99-cent muffins the size of your fist at the grocery store. You're going to go buy them, and you see these blueberries on top, and then you realize there's like 3 blueberries on top and then nothing in the rest of the muffin but bread. That's kind of what AAA gaming has been delivering. A really good trailer and presentation, and then the substance really isn't there. Whereas indie games, in my experience, have just generally been delivering more. I've had more fun with them. I've been playing more of them, more interested in them. And maybe I'm just getting old and bitter and, tipping my fedora at people, but it's not looking good for AAA gaming. And the next question is, well, why is AAA gaming doing so poorly? What's going on? Why are all the companies failing? Because if 1, 2, 3, 4 companies were failing, then you would think number 5 would say, oh my God, this is our opportunity. All we have to do is do something right, make one good, functional, playable game, and all of Twitch is ours. We'll be number 1 every day. Well, there's a bunch of stuff going on. We'll talk about COVID later, but I think the number 1 is that there is an industry-wide ship now and fix later mentality. Companies are totally okay with shipping a product that is unfinished, that doesn't pass quality standards, that has glaring bugs and flaws, and just say, well, we'll just get it certified, it'll go gold, our day 1 update will make it better, and then our day 10 update will fix it, and a couple of months in, it'll be a great game, and we'll capture the sales already off of the trailer, and then people will come back and play it. And sometimes that works, but I think gamers are getting fatigued from that, and I think it's a poor mentality. It's like buying a car and being given part of a car and just saying, hey man, yeah, we're going to mail you that extra wheel and a couple of the other engine parts in a couple of weeks. And, maybe in like 6 months, this will be a fully functional, great car, but right now you're going to need to take it easy. And that's kind of a crazy, we don't buy, there's nothing else that we buy like that except gaming these days because they don't ship completed. Some of that's corporate pressures too. The game has to launch, the company has deadlines to meet and shareholders to please, but there's still a scheduling and creating issue with there. I think there is another part of this problem, which is as AAA slides, there has been savage competition from free-to-play and indie games. You see free-to-play games like Fortnite, that's AAA, but keep in mind that Epic was a small studio when that started. And a lot of these mobile games and stuff are getting better and better, and indie games are getting better because they really have to deliver and they can turn almost pure profit if the staff is small enough. And those games are, in my opinion, eating into AAA gaming. There are more and more people that I talk to and know about playing weirder games and less Far Cry's and Call of Duties and things like that. Of course, COVID stuff messed up everything. All the developers had to move to work from home, which some of them liked and some of them probably did good with, but work from home isn't always the best when you're coding things because you have to compile the code and then test it, which means you have to upload it, or sharing and uploading and doing art remotely can be extremely bandwidth intensive. Not everybody has that kind of bandwidth at home. Not everybody has a strong enough computer at home. You can't even, if you're developing at home, you can't even show your coworker what's going wrong without having a stream of your computer to their computer with nothing crashing. And these guys aren't professional streamers and they don't know how to set all that up and they have tons of problems with it. And then finally, I think another big one for AAA gaming is that AAA games primarily appeal to consoles. It's consoles and then the computer is usually a port or an afterthought, not so with Battlefield, but consoles are very important. However, most gamers can't buy new consoles. Most of you still don't have a PlayStation 5. Most of you still can't get a PlayStation 5 unless you're going to pay the scalper your firstborn child or whatever because the prices are so high. And as such, in order to appeal to the biggest and broadest market, they have to design their games to work on a regular PS4 original and an Xbox One regular, both of which launched in 2013. In 2013 was a time where people thought it was cute that like Obama was on Twitter. 2013 was literally 8 years ago. There are people graduating high school today that were just like in kindergarten then, not kindergarten, they were in grade school at the time, but a number of years back is the point. We're approaching a decade, and so the developers have to make a game that looks great, it looks modern, it's got great graphics, it uses RTX, it maxes out a 3090, it looks beautiful on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox Series X at 4K. Oh, and by the way, that same game, it needs to run on a system with like 1/16 of the power that's a decade old and where the fan is probably stuffed full of dead rats or whatever, so it'll overheat. Good luck, guys, develop for that. The hardware gap is too wide, so you have to scale your old gen games down too much and put systems in there that can still work on the new gen, but there might be better stuff you can do with the new gen that you can't do because it'll mess up the old gen. And it's kind of a mess. Not only does it split up development resources, but it just becomes like a really difficult technical challenge. And normally this is where I would criticize AAA games and even gamers and be the hoity-toity YouTuber and be like, well, why don't you just buy the new consoles? Why don't you plebeians upgrade? We can't be playing on PlayStation 2 forever now, can we? But the reality is that most gamers want to upgrade. They can't. They just literally can't buy new consoles. So I don't blame Activision or EA or Ubisoft for making sure that their games work on older systems because most people are still on older systems. It's just a problem. It's a mess. And I think that gamers, myself included, are getting some serious buyer's regret right now. A little cognitive dissonance going on, some disappointment with our purchases. And since we've been playing AAA games for a long time, we're used to this. We're used to the ship now and fix later. We're used to it being a little buggy. We're used to launch week being kind of rough. But the fatigue is setting in. Gamers are getting tired of paying $60 for a game that is worse than a free game or a $12 indie game. And I think that the market is going to increasingly shift toward those two unless AAA Gaming gets its situation together. AAA Gaming is going to need to shape up or it's going to be shipped out because people aren't going to pay a lot of money. Even AAA games now are going for like this $80 or $90 price point. They don't want to pay that when there's like a dozen free games that work just as well. They may not be as graphically advanced, but at least they don't have bugs and they're playable. So I'm kind of worried. I feel like AAA Gaming is kind of on suicide watch right now. Like they're on life support. They need some love. Somebody needs to do something right. And I'm hoping that 2022 is a better year for them than 2021 was. Guys, that's all for this opinionated video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.